change the culture, the mindset, the expectation level, and improve the brand of Indiana Hoosier football.
Yes, this is Shigs Inside an Indiana Football Podcast. But Brad, did you want to get something off your chest first?
Well, it's hate week first off, and my hate has extenuated toward IU hoops right now. I know this is a IU football podcast, but IU hoops lost by what was it? 20.
I didn't realize I was gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't realize I was gonna tee you up like that. I don't want to nag everybody out like that, bro.
I mean, it's a 28-point defeat in the Bahamas to Louisville. And I'm not one to typically like overreact to stuff. I think if you've listened to this podcast over and over again, we're typically ones to keep things pretty chill either way in terms of, obviously we probably lean more so in terms of positive, in terms of overreaction. But even then, we have, reasoning behind it and things like this. Today, I watched the Hoosiers. I was excited to watch the Hoosiers play Louisville in basketball today. It was 9 a.m. local time for me. So I was up early, ready to watch them. And that was one of the most uninspired performances I've ever seen one of my sport teams play. And I'm a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, right? Like, I've seen some pretty bad stuff. And it obviously, a lot of people like to throw blame at Woody. I'm not necessarily there yet. I think it's a collective in terms of like where they're at, and it does inevitably fall on the coach, the highest point. I'm not going to say it's directly Woody's fault, but what I watched today for IU hoops was one of the most pathetic, embarrassing performances I've ever seen. I know Louisville's good, but the fact of the matter is Indiana's a lot more talented than they are. They're in year one with a head coach, and they go out there and do that. Like, it wasn't, yeah, the shots weren't falling and stuff like that. Like, there are things you can point to. Like, it wasn't their day, but at the same time, like, they were either very unmotivated or very unconditioned, which is either way a big problem. And if they're going to do anything this year, they got to fucking figure it out, because it's getting real old with this team. And I don't know I think it's the basketball program as a whole. You can point blame at Cliff Marshall. Maybe they were tired. Maybe a guard didn't a guard didn't score a point until the second half.
Yeah, that's not great. Can I play devil's advocate for you as somebody who didn't watch today's game?
Sure.
Here's devil's advocate. This is a team full of transfers.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
They're older.
Yeah.
They're playing a team that, like, their head was in the wrong place.
They are also playing a team full.
I think that's more than clear.
Yes, and I think that's a possibility, but at the same time, that's a problem.
Yes.
I'm not going to overreact and say the season's over. I think they have a game against Gonzaga tomorrow, and they can come out and win that game. They're plenty talented to do so. Will they?
That's fixable.
My faith is...
Effort level is controllable.
Effort level wasn't there.
The amount of... I know, but that's controllable. Like, that can be changed. That can be fixed. And whether or not it was there today, and obviously it wasn't, from what I'm hearing, that is something that, like, talent's not the issue. If mentality and mindset is truly going to be the issue and that doesn't get solved, then, like, there's nothing left for, like, Woodson and to be quite honest, like, the rest of the staff as well. It's like, if you can't get these guys ready to play, then who are you going to get ready to play? But I also don't think we're there yet. I think this was a game early in the season that they thought they were going to come out and whoop Louisville, and Louisville ended up being probably a little bit better than they thought, and they got blitzed. It happens. I'm not going to overreact. Like, it's like we kind of ran through, but like obviously off pod, like had a conversation, kind of ran through who could they even look at in terms of like realistic possibilities, and like there's nobody, like there is no other name. Like it is like it's Woodson's team for this year.
There's
It's like
there's a guy at a
but
Michigan
it's like
school.
one loss. No, but yeah, but you're not making a mid-year change for a guy at a
No,
program.
I'm not.
Like,
You're not
there's
going to
no,
fire
like,
Woody mid-season. It's not.
No, and you're not going to make the decision to fire Woodson based on a game played before Thanksgiving. Like that'd just be utterly ridiculous. Like that's stupid.
I agree.
Like yeah, they didn't play well today. It's frustrating, but like it's not that big of a deal. It really isn't, especially this early in the season and to a team that's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah, but when you look at a team
Like in no. But if you look at, say, in 5 months, you look at Louisville and they're battling for the ACC, and it's like, holy shit, Louisville's back and they're in the top 15. Then like that loss doesn't look as bad. It's like Indiana just got caught off guard like the rest of the country. If Louisville turns out to be a terrible team, and this is a sign of things to come for this Indiana team, much like we saw a sign of things to come for last year's Indiana team when they were playing really close games with these mid-majors, I'm not ready to say this team like I'm not ready to be out on this completely brand new team because they lost the game to a program that might be better than they thought they were.
Yeah, no, and I'm not out on them. I'm just think they need to be called out. And it felt very entitled the way they were playing. The only player looks like that's in like the 8-man rotation that looks like he gives a shit is Luke Goody right now. All the other 7 and they know who they are. Maybe freshman Bryson Tucker. I'm not gonna throw him under the bus. Those 6 veterans that make up the rest of the rotation, minus Bryson Tucker and Luke Goody, they played utterly pathetic today, and they need to be called out for it. And they need to fix it now. Now, they didn't show any fight. They didn't show any like the if the shots aren't going in and we lose the game, like so be it, sure. But the way they were guarding transition defense, horrible. Trey Galloway leaving his feet on a slow pump fake from their big man. Like little things like that, like not hustling for the ball. Like they didn't show any fight. Like they didn't have a pulse today, and that's a big problem. And obviously, I still have faith. I think would be crazy to say fire Woodson at this point. Obviously, there's people that have been saying that for about over a year now. I'm not there yet. I need to see how I'm going to give them at least the weekend. They go 0-3 with multiple 20-point losses. Then we're going to be, I'll be there. But if they play Gonzaga close tomorrow, then they're going to look a lot better in one day's time.
Well, if this year with the talent they have starts to mirror what we saw last year, then yeah, there's a deeper rooted issue here that can't be fixed.
Well, it can be fixed, and that's called clearing house. That's the fix. And yeah, we have I think we've talked about the Cliff Marshall theories of, is he, too focused on strength, and the whole team looks gassed out there. Could that be the issue? But at the end of the day, it looked like they had no fight, and yeah, and that's really all I got to say. This is an Indiana football podcast. We're gonna keep it there, but it's very clear that we're a football school. It's very clear. Right now, Indiana is a football school, and take that for what you will. That's where we're at right now. That I think that just states where we're at as a basketball team right now. It has nothing really to do with.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's that deep. I really don't. I think this team's gonna be fine, and regardless of what happened today or what happens tomorrow against a really good Gonzaga team who also lost the game they should have won, and the defending champion UConn lost multiple games they should have won. It's like I'm not ready to hit the panic button. Like everybody's so ready to be like, holy shit, look, like these are like, here's all the issues we had with Woodson. Like here they appeared in one game. It's like, this is a completely different team. Like, can we give them 6 weeks to kind of show us who they are?
I understand that. I understand that perspective. But I wish they played with a little bit of panic today. I wish they hit the panic button and played with a little bit of panic at some point. Like, okay, they were able to fight back, keep it within 9-8 going into halftime. And then they just give up an 11-0 run
Yeah,
coming
but
out of the
like I
second
think
half. Like, what the fuck is that?
no, I think when you're playing poorly in the vibe is like I think a lot like there's a weird vibe around this Indiana team. I will say that. Like the fact that none of them spoke to the media after a 10-point win the other day was like odd. It was really odd. Like they couldn't have played that badly, right? They won by 10. Like Woodson did that whole like my team played bad. Like nobody gets to speak to the media thing. Which was just weird. And I think they responded negatively. But they're also like I think they kind of understand what's at stake here. They're adults and they're all really good basketball players. So I think water finds its level eventually. Like this team's going to be playing meaningful basketball and Mike Woodson's going to be the head coach for it. So yeah, it's like yeah, you want to win these games. But I don't think any of us went into this year going Indiana is going to be the number 1 team in the country in November. I think they can be in February though, and that's what the important thing is.
Yeah, but having watched a lot of good basketball teams over the years, those teams that figure it out in March aren't losing by 28 to anyone.
False.
Maybe top 10 teams at the time, maybe UConn's, not Louisville that brings back 0 returning scoring from their previous team.
Yeah, but last year the previous Louisville team was trash.
Is Louisville this year's
How do we
Indiana
know the
football?
roster didn't just
Is that what
how
you're
do we know the
insinuating?
roster didn't just get significantly better? I'm saying Indiana took them lightly and got blitzed, and that team might be better than we think. And if they're not, then this is a bad omen. But if they are, and they're kind of sneaky on those KenPom rankings and like the analytics like them, then what if this Louisville team's just actually good?
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and I think we also got to clear something else up before we flip fully back to football. As somebody who may or may not have been fooled by the Trey Galloway, or not Trey Galloway, sorry, definitely not Trey Galloway sitting at the blackjack table. That dude who was 5'8" and 150
5'11"
pounds
at
sitting at the
best.
blackjack table. I don't think that was Trey Galloway. Do I know what Trey Galloway and the rest of the guards were up to the night before this game? So I guess last night? No.
No, I have an
I'm
idea
not
of
going
what
to
Trey
speak to
Galloway
that.
was up to. I have an idea.
Yeah,
I
I
know how
can
Trey
only
Galloway
imagine
operates.
what.
I've heard
You know,
stories.
I can only imagine that they probably enjoyed themselves a little bit too much last night too, um, which isn't an excuse. I'm just saying, like, there. If you look, there are a lot of like reasons why they would look gassed, and I don't necessarily. While I think a lot of their shooting issues may actually start in the weight room, although I'm not there and I'm not like I don't have enough information to make that call. It's just obviously like a conspiracy theory to try and figure out why we can't shoot for the since we've become since we become associated with the school.
Which is when Cliff
But
Marshall
I
got there,
don't.
by the way.
Yeah, which is why the theory has legs. But yeah, I'm not ready to blame Cliff Marshall either. I think they had a little bit too much fun the night before, took the team lightly and played badly and looked like shit, and they're gonna take a bunch of shit for it.
I'm on to the smoke. On to Gonzaga.
Aiden Fisher exclusive merch just dropped. It looks dope. I need to put in another order from Indiana NIL store. That's gonna be coming soon. So super excited about that. Kamara, Mikhail Kamara is up for the Lot Impact Award. He's a finalist.
That's big time. It's a pretty elite award. One of my favorite players of all time, Anthony Barr, Loyola Cub alum, just like Miller Moss Davis Warren, received that award. Prestigious. Very proud of Mikhail Kamara. Very well deserving. Disappointed he wasn't able to get the Bednarik, finalist, but a lot of impact. Honestly, some could argue that's better.
Love it. Kurt Cignetti's contract details dropped. He's gonna make a shitload of money in that first year. He's making like $8 million. The most interesting or important nugget that came out was I think he's got over $11 million to pay his assistants, which is crazy. That number is gigantic. We assumed it was going to be big. We saw the quote was significant. That's a massive number. That's really exciting. You want to talk about the ability to retain great coaches, or if you lose a great coach, to be able to replace him with a really quality candidate as well. Yeah, that's going to go a really long way. Did you get a chance to look at the Cignetti contract details? I know they've been circulating for a couple of days.
Yeah, the 11 mil for in the assistant pool, huge. Huge. I think that puts us second in the country behind Ohio State. We can get our own Chip Kelly. Like we were saying, we were kind of guessing that it was around, blue blood level. It seems like it's a lot more than that. So even better than anticipated, which is great. We could probably retain the whole staff after this year.
100%. I was thinking the exact same thing. Speaking of the staff, lots of good stuff happening with the staff. Shout out to Coach Tino Sinceri, his wife, Ashlyn. They're expecting a boy. They did a gender reveal on the field the other day. They were going hype. That was super cool. So congrats to Coach Tino and family. That's big time.
Future Indiana starting quarterback.
Sniper mentality.
He's going to learn early.
And Coach Brian Haynes nominated for the Broyles Award. He's a finalist. That's huge as well. Top assistant in the country. I thought Shanahan would be able to creep up there as well. Maybe Tino in there as well. But to get at least one of them on the list is awesome. And I mean, you can't argue with how good Indiana's defense has been. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, position coaches usually don't get you nominated for that award. I think
no, Tino's co-OC, brother. Come on now.
True, but with
they're both co-OC, so that's probably if one of them was one offensive coordinator, probably does get on that list as well. But maybe the fact that they were co-OCs, each deferred. I don't know. If you could argue all three of them should have just been the three finalists.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if they put up 30 points against Michigan and Ohio State, then maybe. But Brian Haynes back-to-back years, Broyles finalist. Back-to-back.
Dog. He's a dog.
Top 10 defense in every category.
And that's why you need $11 million to pay your assistant coaches, because we need to pay that guy.
Yeah. We don't want him taking a group of 5 job, so give him the $1 million to stay. If there's a power school after him, there's a good chance he can go. But I think we have the money to match if the offer's not good enough from the other school.
Exciting position to be in. Speaking of Indiana coaches, or old Indiana coaches, Kevin Wilson sent out some sort of bucket tweet with a picture from Memorial Stadium. It was kind of interesting to see him pop up in support of the Hoosiers, but that was really cool, and it was good vibes going into this week. So shout out to Coach Wilson.
Shout out to Coach Wilson. He laid the groundwork for Tom Allen to have his success that he did. And he crawled so Tom Allen could walk so Cignetti could run. So shout out Kevin Wilson.
Yeah. And then 2025 commit Jalen Hollywood Bell had a birthday this week, so happy birthday to Hollywood Bell. Yeah, big things to come for the class of 2025. He's a huge part of it. Hoping for a happy and healthy year for him. So shout out to Hollywood Bell.
Shout out. How old is he?
And then Indiana.
18?
I don't know. He's a senior in high school. He's going to be a freshman next year.
So he's like 18.
He's that age. Indiana came in at number 11 in the college football playoff rankings that came out last night. They came in at 10.
Well,
They're seeded
I
11.
was gonna correct you. I saw that in the notes. I was gonna correct that.
Yeah, which I still don't understand how you're going to give an auto bye to a conference champion that might not be, but whatever. The fact that Indiana's in, and like Brad, you asked me this question when we first hopped on FaceTime before we started recording, like what I thought or if I cared. And it's like, no, I really don't care. The fact that they're in the top 10 is awesome. The fact they're still ranked inside the top 12 is the most important part. And you go out there and you put it on Purdue like we think they should and they're capable of. And you never know what happens with the teams in front of them, but they'll probably end up moving up a little bit.
I am worried about a little bit of funny business going on. You see Clemson
I'm not.
at ranked 12. I believe they have a top 20 matchup coming to town.
Yeah, but if somebody gets usurped or jumped or one-upped, as long as Indiana beats Purdue and it's convincing, and it's going to be because Indiana executes at a high level and Purdue does not, like Indiana has nothing to worry about.
Yeah,
They're not the team that's going to get jumped.
and we'll get into it later in terms of, what those matchups are going to be, where's Indiana's path to maybe even hosting a playoff game. Yeah, we'll see.
Hosting's probably out of the question, but you never know.
You never know.
All right, do you want to preview that team?
The team. Yeah, we're playing the Purdue Boilermakers from West Lafayette in the bucket game. This is actually the first ever night game in the series history.
What?
Confirmed by the school. It's in the game notes.
That's crazy.
First ever. Famous alumni John Wooden, Neil Armstrong, first ever man to step on the moon. I kind of overstepped John Wooden there. 10-time national champion at UCLA, winning 10 natties.
Well, no, I don't think. I mean, but he went to Purdue though. So, like, do those even count?
Yeah, but that's what he accomplished. He happens to be an alum of the school. He was an All-American point guard for Purdue as well. Amelia Earhart, R.I.P. and Drew Brees, Super Bowl winning quarterback. And typically I do.
And Jonathan Zucker.
Who is that?
That's Mike's dad.
No way. Gross.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, he's gave his money to Indiana, so I think he's all right in my book. Usually I do a pretty long, extensive history lesson on a school's football program, things like that.
Yeah, I was excited for you to take us back to 1932.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'll flash it back to 1979. This is Purdue's first and only 10-win season as a football program. They're basically just as irrelevant as us. And then I'll flash it forward to 2000, which is the last time they won a league title. Drew Brees led the Boilermakers to a Big Ten title. They ended up losing in the Rose Bowl, finishing the season ranked 13 under Joe Tiller, who probably had their best run as a coach at that school. And since then, they've been basically irrelevant as a football program. They'll have their 7-8 win seasons here and there, somewhat consistently. Not nearly as bad as, Indiana's history. They do lead the series by about 30 games. Yeah. But, since they're starting to get some momentum with Jeff Brom, and he went to his alma mater, LSU. Or no, Louisville. Nope. My bad. Louisville. And then they hire hotshot defensive coordinator, big name in the industry, Illinois, after he let after he coached up a Illinois defense that turns out to be loaded with very, very good NFL players. Loaded.
And they were good in college?
Yeah, and they were really good in college. And
Huh.
yeah, he went 4-8 his first year. They started out the year winning 49-0 to Indiana State this year. They have not won a game since. They've lost 10 straight. And here they are going into Memorial Stadium on November 30th, 2024 on Big Ten Network. Indiana is a 29-point favorite. The total is at 56. It's the Purdue Boilermakers at the number 10 Indiana Hoosiers. Just for some historical context, Purdue obviously leads the series. They've won 3 straight. But here, things are going to change. Keys to the game.
Execute.
Play your game.
That's really it. That's really it. Like, as long as they just, like, do the things they're good at, they're going to win this game by multiple touchdowns. Like, they're going to cover. They'll probably hit the spread by themselves. But this is a rivalry game. You got to throw records out the window. Purdue just doubled down on, is it Walters or Waters? I don't even know what his name is.
Ryan Walters.
Walters. They just doubled down on him. He's coming back next year. He's not worried about getting fired. The team's going to be bought in. They're recruiting kind of well. To flip it, what a win would do in this situation for Purdue would be insanely massive. Insanely massive. Like, they're going to be up for this game. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, like, they're just going to roll over. What I will tell you is Indiana is significantly better than they are as a team, and they execute more consistently. And, that's just it.
They're more talented.
And, yeah.
Play their game.
They're the better team with the better coaching staff and the better scheme, and they execute better, and the fans are better, and the campus is better. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's a better university, and so there's really not much Purdue can do here.
They're gonna get Purdue's best shot. You know, this is as good as Purdue's been all year, despite being a 1-10 team. This is the best Purdue team of the season. It's week 14, last week of the year. It's their last game. It's IU Senior Day, by the way. So for you students coming back from Thanksgiving, make the trip down to night game. Should be easy to manage. Get out there, show love to the seniors, get them energized, and make sure they don't come out flat. I think crowd's going to be important in this game. I don't want this to be close, look close, leave no doubt that Indiana should be in the playoff. Obviously, I think they're in. We'll see what the committee does because there are games to where they could have teams jump Indiana if the teams above them don't lose.
And yes, I agree the crowd is going to be important to an extent, but honestly, they could be playing this game at a park, like in, like, you know what I'm saying, in some unnamed location where nobody sees it. Like, Indiana should still win this game by 50.
Oh, 100%.
It's literally just about, like, if they go out there and execute and just run the plays they're good at, like, you know what I'm saying, it's really not going to be that difficult.
It shouldn't be. But like we said, throw records out the window. It's a rivalry game. This is a Big Ten team. They would love to play spoiler to Indiana. They would love it.
Yeah. Oh my God, this would make... They would consider the 2024 season a success at 2-10
if they won this game.
And honestly, they'd be right, because they have the ability to not only beat their in-state rival, but knock them out of the college football playoff picture as well, and derail a ton of momentum, both on the football field and on the recruiting trail. Like, yeah, a loss for Indiana would be devastating, but a win just secures the path they're on right now. And I think that's why especially coming off the Ohio State loss, I'm not worried about a letdown with this team. This game is arguably more important than the one they just played. And actually, I would say it is more important than the one they just played. You have to win this week. Like, Indiana has to win this week.
in a season
They might as well be a cornered animal. Like, they have to win this
in
week.
a,
They don't have
in
a
a
choice.
season where you're making a run at the playoff, your biggest game is your next game. That's how it goes. And I know the team's going to be ready. They're pissed off. They know they didn't show their best against Ohio State. And I'm worried for Purdue. I'm worried. There's nothing really to preview matchup wise because on paper, there's no. And Purdue's outmanned, outgunned in every facet in terms of what's going to be put out there on the field. Now, on a given day, on a given Saturday, never take a team lightly. Yada, yada, yada. Indiana should take care of business. Simple as that. And they've been able to do it with every team they've faced so far, minus Ohio State. Maybe you could argue Michigan. But Michigan has a really good defense. They're the defending national champs. That's why they slowed up in the second half. It's a good team. Michigan ended up beating Northwestern 50-6 last week.
I mean, this isn't a Michigan podcast, but Michigan football's momentum in the past week and a half is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Skyrocketing.
Yeah. So it's a good thing Indiana's got that bonus, that pool money to pay assistants, because we're not messing around either. The game has opened up, as they say. You have a score prediction, Brad, for Purdue?
Yeah, I like the under here. I like 56-0. So that's a push.
I think if they get anywhere close to that over-under number, Sig's going to push for it because he's a psychopath and he looks at these things. I'm going to say it's like 45-7 or 45-10, and Purdue might score first.
No way. No way Purdue scores first. I don't even think they score. I actually don't think Purdue's going to score in this game. Their offense is so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
We all watched that Michigan State game. We know this team's legit. We watched the Nebraska game. Watched the Washington game.
And they're pissed
Take
off.
care of
No,
business.
maybe they will just make it look nice.
Take care of business.
Like 63-3. Could we be looking at a 63-3 guy?
I mean, if you asked me a few days ago, I would have probably said something like 70-0. 10 touchdowns to no touchdowns.
You're coming back down to earth?
I'm just going by I just ran the numbers. It's a rivalry game. Maybe they get a stop or two.
Hoosiers by 1,000,000.
If there's ever a time to say Hoosiers by 1,000,000, this is the game. This is the game.
Closing thoughts on Purdue?
Just leave no doubt. Leave no doubt in the field. I know Sig's going to have him ready. Senior day, make sure you guys are out there early. 30 minutes before kick, make sure there's a crowd there for when the seniors are announced. There's a lot of them, and they all deserve their flowers.
Yeah, they do. There's a shitload of them, and they all chose to come here and buy into what's going on in Indiana football. And yeah, they deserve it.
Mike Kadick deserves it the most.
I was about to say, especially Mike Kadick. Especially Mike Kadick.
He should get carried off the field when they win.
I'm with you. He should get carried on the field. I'll carry him on the field.
Get on my back.
Carry him
I can
from
squat
play to play.
320. Yeah.
Easily. All right, you want to rip the Big Ten real quick?
Yeah, just the non-playoff implication games real quick. Just, we do our usual preview. Minnesota at Wisconsin. It's rivalry week, by the way. Friday night, Minnesota at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 1.5 point favorite at home. Totals 41.5. Wisconsin needs to win this game to get bowl eligibility. Rivalry game at home. Who you got?
Minnesota. I like Minnesota.
I like Wisconsin.
I don't particularly enjoy when teams fire coaches mid-season.
Yeah, I agree, but for whatever reason, those teams end up winning their next game or whatever. They get like a new like juice, new life for whatever reason.
I've
If
just
they
kind of been
lose,
out on
nothing
Wisconsin
to
all
lose.
year.
Can't believe they fired Luke Fickle. It's kind of crazy.
They actually fired Luke Fickle?
Wait, who you're talking about coaches that fired a coach
I was
mid-season?
Yeah, the offensive coordinator.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
I was
I
talking
was
about
like,
head
wait a
coach.
second, what did I
Yeah, no, I
miss?
was I was literally playing along. I was like, I didn't know they fired Luke Fickle. I was like looking it up real quick. I was like, okay, I guess they didn't. They fired their coordinator. That's
I
nothing.
said
That is
coaches.
nothing. Yeah,
Yes, that is something. That
I'm
is the guy who's calling the
I'm sticking
plays.
with Wisconsin here. Nebraska at Iowa. NBC Friday night. Iowa 3.5 point favorites at home.
That is so disrespectful. I don't understand how this line isn't like at least like 13 and a half.
Give me Iowa.
Yeah. Oh my God. Give me Iowa. They're gonna put Rayola in a pretzel.
Michigan at Ohio State. Oh, we'll skip that one. We'll do it later. Illinois at Northwestern. Illinois is 7.5 point favorites. I'm taking Illinois and the points.
Yeah, that's like this would be a fun matchup in a year when they're both good, but Northwestern's not that good. I like how it's rivalry week and Rutgers is playing Michigan State.
Yeah, they need to figure that out. I think it'd be better if Maryland played Rutgers this week and Penn State played Michigan State. It throws everything into a loop that Michigan plays.
Rutgers should play Penn State. Rutgers Penn State should be a rivalry. That is like I know so many people who are between both of those schools and picked the other one or the other for varying reasons. But that's like they're so similar and so many people who know each other go to each school that should be the rivalry week game if you're not going to have Penn State play Ohio State or um I don't even know who else they play.
I like that. I like that take because those are kind of the Maryland, Penn State, Rutgers, Michigan State. They really don't have like a date to the prom at rivalry week. You know what I mean?
Maryland, you could make like a hoops connection between Michigan State and Maryland and kind of like do it that way.
Yeah. So I like
They're
your
also
take.
I
I like
feel
your
like
take a lot.
similar college towns. I don't know, somebody who's been to East Lansing would have to and college college park would have to be the one you look at for that one. But yeah, I don't think this matchup makes sense at all. It's at like I want to bet like I want to take Rutgers in this game, but it's hard for me to bet against Aiden Childs at home.
Fresno State at UCLA. Oh wait, I didn't make my pick.
What's
Michigan
the
State.
spread in
Michigan
that?
State. Michigan State's favored by 1.5.
I like Sparty too.
I think they go bowling.
How can you not want to see Aiden Childs in a bowl game?
Electric. I think they get it done. They've had a very impressive year in terms of what they were expected to do. So I think they're gonna finish the job, go bowling, get it done at home. Excitement going on in East Lansing. Great first year if they win that game. Fresno State at UCLA. Can't believe we're talking about this in a Big Ten preview. I like the Bruins here. Disappointing. This isn't for bowl eligibility here, but it happens.
Future Pac-12 champion Fresno State takes on low-hanging fruit of the Big Ten.
Middle of the pack. They're building something over there. Another team trending up.
No. You know how I feel about UCLA. I joke and I kid.
Yeah.
But no, give me UCLA in this game.
Yeah. Give me UCLA. All right, on to the national scene, because this is what matters now that we're at that point of the year where it's all about what you do now in terms of where you're ranked and what your results are. We'll just run through it real quick. Memphis is going to Tulane. Tulane has a shot at the playoff. They're ranked right behind Arizona State. So Tulane.
What am I supposed to do with that information?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying, like, if Tulane pulls this one out and Arizona State loses to Arizona, or some weird shit happens in the Big 12 where it's not Arizona State, we're talking Big 12 out, which I think is kind of crazy. I think Arizona State should be ranked a lot higher, and I think the Big 12 champ should be in over the American champ, regardless. I think it's just a different level, and it's clear, like, Big 10 SEC one tier, then it goes next tier ACC Big 12, and then it's group of 5. Like, that's what it is. So they're taking on each other tomorrow at Tulane. I don't know. Thoughts?
Not many, to be
Oh, yeah,
honest.
that's fair. That's fair. I wouldn't be surprised though if Memphis plays spoiler here and knocks that
Memphis
idea.
has like 10. Memphis has like 4 or 5 Tom Allen guys on that roster, including, actually, is Kobe Minor still on that roster? I don't even know.
I think he is. Oregon State takes on Boise State. It's a win and in situation, basically. Well, Boise State definitely has to win their Mountain West championship game. But if they lose one of those 2 games, they're out. On the blue field, I just don't see it happening. Gentie's gonna, continue his Heisman run. Dude's at 2,000 yards and 27 touchdowns right now. Heisman. Who's your Heisman pick right now? Because we can talk. I'll start the preview of Oklahoma State at Colorado right now. Colorado's basically out. They have a really tough path to get to the Big 12 title game. Who's your Heisman?
It's got to be. I mean, I want it to be Rourke. It's not.
It's not Rourke. After the Ohio State game, he's not even going to get invited to New York, unfortunately.
I mean, listen, if he throws for 700 yards on Saturday,
If he throws for 700 yards and 10 touchdowns, then the campaign's back on. 100%.
I want to say it's Genty, but I looked at his numbers stacked next to Sanders, and it's not like his season's impressive. Don't get me wrong, but he's not pacing as well as he was early in the year, which makes sense. Travis Hunter's got obviously a legit argument. He wouldn't be my one. I don't know.
It's Hunter or Genty.
Who's your
It's
Heisman?
Hunter or Genty. I have Genty. 2,000 yards, 27 touchdowns. That's an unreal season. We haven't seen anything like that since.
You don't think, I don't know what Gabriel's stats look like, but you don't think anybody on Oregon's up there?
Dylan Gabriel's going to New York. Will he win the Heisman? He hasn't really had his moment. It's really been Genty and Hunter like this whole way.
Yeah, but a lot of times the answer's right in front of our face. It's probably Dylan Gabriel, if I had to guess. That's probably the Heisman.
It is crowned after the conference championship game, so he does have an opportunity to have his moment.
He's going to be on the stage.
Egg Bowl, Mississippi State at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is basically out, but they're still ranked 14, so there's, in theory, a path. They're 26-point favorites. I like Ole Miss in this game, and that's really all I want to talk about for this one.
Next.
Yeah. Georgia Tech at Georgia. There's just no way, right? Is Haynes King playing?
There's a way, dude. I'm not gonna.
If Haynes King is playing,
Georgia.
there's a world where Georgia Tech.
When
can
there's
win
a will,
in,
there's a
in
way
Athens.
with Tech Tebow, Brad.
It's true,
You're never gonna hear me betting against Tech Tebow.
and that would knock Georgia out of the playoff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're Georgia Tech fans this week. Yeah, it's more so like not like who's gonna win, but like as an IU fan, who do you root for in this game? Georgia Tech. In each of these
Georgia
games we're
Tech,
talking
Georgia.
about. Yeah.
You root for the good teams to lose. What do you mean?
Yeah, obviously. But sometimes it's not as simple.
Yeah.
Like Michigan, Ohio State.
It is no. It's No, you're right. Because gut reaction wants to be like, yeah, Michigan should, like, you'd want Michigan to win, right? Because then Ohio State loses, which is always good. But Indiana, but I guess then I don't know. This is like, can they just tie?
For all four Big Ten teams to get in, I think you really need the four to stay strong and only lose to each other. So I think I hate to say this, but I think Ohio State needs to win.
I think that's fair.
I don't want any funny business. Like, as nonchalant as you are with where Indiana seeding is, they are the last at-large team in right now.
Yeah, I'm not. We talked about this too. I'm not worried about it. Like, I don't really care. They're in. The perception from both the public and the committee is that they're more than well deserving to be there. They've earned that right, and with a win, nothing changes.
Yeah, the committee did.
So it's like, as long as they take care of business. Hey, listen, if they're going to be the team that gets screwed over, and Kurt Cygnar, he's going to get to go scorched earth in the college football playoff committee, and then they stomp some poor soul in a bowl game.
The Citrus Bowl. That's what bowl they'd be in.
That's not, like, no, that's not ideal, and that's not what we want, but it's not a bad consolation prize to be the team that got screwed, that deserved to be there, that gets to take out all his anger and then retool for next year. But I don't think that's going to happen to them. I think they're in, and with a win, they're very clearly in. With a loss, it's like, obviously it's a different story, but with a win, they're in.
I agree. And the head of the committee, when he was asked about Indiana, said some very encouraging things in regards that we still believe Indiana is well deserving of a top 10 seed. He even went as far as saying, we thought Indiana looked good at times against Ohio State. Did some good things, like running the ball, controlling the run game on both sides of the ball, really. And yeah, and that's that. And from once he said it, hold him to it. No funny business happening in a couple weeks. That's all I can hope for.
I don't think there's going to be any funny business. I don't even think that should be a second thought.
Yeah. Tennessee goes to Vandy. To Vandy, First Bank Stadium. Rooting for Vandy here.
Yeah. Have fun.
Yeah. This is the tricky one. This is the one where I think there could be some funny business going on. The Palmetto Bowl. South Carolina at Clemson. Two teams with fan bases arguing they should be in. Clemson's first team out right now. South Carolina's won 6 straight. I think based on the rankings, you have to root for South Carolina here. You don't want Clemson to get a big win and allow them to hopscotch Indiana in the poll.
I'm not even. I don't even. What is this narrative you're trying to build about Indiana getting jumped? I haven't seen this anywhere. Like,
it's not a narrative. I guess I just have PTSD because Florida State was in the top 4 going into the ACC championship game. They win the game, and then they're number 5. Make it make sense. It doesn't. Funny business. Weird shit happens, man. I just don't want it to happen to the Hoosiers. So I think you gotta root for South Carolina here.
Probably rooting for South Carolina anyway. But yeah, I don't like. None of it matters if they just stomp out Purdue and make it look good.
You're right. I am of the same belief. I'm just trying to think in terms of what the fuck is going on in that committee room. That's it.
I don't know. I think they watch football and then like pick the best football games. And like it's not even a question. Indiana is one of the 12 best football teams in the country. It's been acknowledged multiple times. They suffered their first loss of the season and are still well in the top 12. And they have a layup on Saturday.
Take care of business.
And they have, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's. Why am I arguing? Like, Sig laughed off this question.
We're not arguing. We're just
talking. Why am I even arguing with it?
We're just talking.
It's crazy. They're not getting jumped. I get it out of your head.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'm just. I'm not daunted. I'm just.
It sounds daunted.
I'm not daunted. I know we deserve to be in the college football playoff. I'm just worried because it's out of my control. 11-1 Big Ten team gets in. All right, whatever. On to the next. Who do you think's going to win? South Carolina, Clemson. Who do you think's going to win? We're rooting for South Carolina. Who's going to win?
I think South Carolina beats them, and I think it's because of the defensive line.
I agree. Here's my favorite game of the weekend. Notre Dame going to USC. I'll start out by saying USC is my dog of the week here. I love this spot for USC. They've had, they're at 6-5. They already got bowl eligibility. Now it's rivalry week against Notre Dame. I'm picking USC to win outright in this game and knock Notre Dame out of the playoff. Notre Dame loses, they're out, right?
They should be, yeah. I want to be like, yeah, there's no way Notre Dame loses this game, but this is the same team that lost to NIU at home. So
USC.
But then you have
USC's a lot better than NIU.
Traveling. Yeah, but USC's traveling a lot farther than NIU was too.
No, this is in the Coliseum. This is in the Collie.
Oh.
Yeah, my dog of the week, USC, plus 7.5, outright money line against Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's crazy. I like Notre Dame.
Did you watch Jade?
I actually like them better on the road.
Did you watch Jade Mayava? He's good. He's really
I just think
really
Notre Dame's a better team. Notre Dame's a better team.
I don't know. USC's got a sneaky good defense. You got Jane Mayava now who can improvise.
USC kind of stinks.
That's gonna be a hell of a game. I like
it's
USC. My dog of the week last week hit with Florida winning. This is my dog of the week. USC over Notre Dame. This is it. Lock it in. I am so sure about it. Miami goes to Syracuse. Obviously rooting for Syracuse. This is another one where I'm looking at it like Dogs are barking. Dogs are barking here.
I think Cuse is my dog of the week. Cuse features Ocean Township's own Trevor Pena.
Hell yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
What position does he play?
He's a wide receiver.
Gotcha.
He's a favorite of Kyle McCord's.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think I've watched Syracuse beyond that Pitt game where they got absolutely. That was a nightmare. That game was a nightmare. But they're 8-3 and like they're a decent team. Like some teams just play bad games sometimes, and obviously that won't be rewarded, and that's why they're not in the playoff in the conversation. But like they're 8-3. They're a good team. They're very capable of beating a Miami team that has been bailed out multiple times this year. Virginia Tech, Cal. This is a spot. It's not my dog of the week, but this is my spot where, as a gambling man, I like. Give me Syracuse plus 11. I'm not sure if they win the game outright. I like Syracuse plus 11 here.
I also like Cuse. And I do think they can win outright.
Next game, talking about rivalry week. Cal going to Dallas, taking on SMU. Taking them on. Taking on SMU Mustangs.
I don't even want to talk about this game. I literally don't.
All I'll say is I think SMU is actually really good. And whether or not it's Miami or Clemson in the ACC title game, I think they win.
A lot of money down there.
The Pony Express, it's back. Kevin Jennings might be deserving of a. If he started the season as their starter, he would probably be further in the Heisman talks right now. Their only loss was a BYU game where he didn't play. They're a good team. Don't sleep on SMU. Southern Methodist University, home of Eric Dickerson and who else? Who else played there? Fucking Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley. Bang! Good pull, Brad. Good pull. It's a good pull.
Next
They
game.
were teammates. And then
Next game.
yeah, an irrelevant Iron Bowl. I love it. Just pure hate. But somehow Bama's second team out. I don't know how. Don't ask me how. It doesn't make any sense to me. They beat Georgia, but they have 2 bad losses, not just one. And it's at home. This game's always close.
Yeah, you got to throw out records in these super rivalry games, especially this one. It's like anything can happen.
Auburn wins. They get bowl eligibility. Lot to play
Playing
for them.
something.
Beyond just the Iron Bowl. It's an 11.5 spread. Probably guess who's favored in that one.
Mm-hmm.
I
I'll take the
points. I like the points for Auburn there. I'll obviously be rooting for Auburn like I do every year in that game. And yeah, go Peyton Thorne. Legacy game for Peyton Thorne.
How can you pick Peyton Thorne? It's crazy.
He had a hell of a game against A&M last week. Hell of a game. The Territorial Cup. Arizona State goes to Tucson. Goes to North Arizona. Take on Tucson.
I thought we were talking about games relevant to the college football playoff. Why are we talking about
Arizona State's
State
currently
right
in
now?
right now. If they lose this game, they're
Arizona
out.
State's
Yeah,
in?
they're currently the highest ranked Big 12 team.
No shit. Wow. Good for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, good for that. Kenny Dillon.
I like him to keep rolling.
Obviously, it's Cygnar, Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year runner-up goes to Kenny Dillingham, and Arizona State should pay him.
Pushing.
They better not take advantage of the fact that he loves Arizona and Tempe and Arizona State, and they should just lock him up. Lock him up. 10-year contract. Give it to him. He's 34 freaking years old. Dude was a quarterback's coach when he was in high school, a high school quarterbacks coach when he was in high school. So Kenny Dillingham, I did some digging on him because I love this dude's fire. Obviously, a lot of people have his takes based on him going ballistic at the end of that BYU game, which was hilarious. ASU fan base looked like a bunch of idiots. It was awesome, but I do love Kenny Dillingham, and that's a guy you need to lock up. He's 34 years old, so he had this horrible knee injury, like like in high school, like this is like 2008, and he had this knee injury, and he just couldn't play football again. So he just gets into coaching and just kind of works his way up. He was 29 years old as an SEC offensive coordinator at Auburn. The next year he's at Florida State. Then he makes his way to Oregon and then eventually gets the head coaching job at Arizona State. He is 34 years old. I can't say that enough. Insane. Youngest head coach in football. And he's got his team 9-2 and in the spot for a playoff. I don't care what the results happen the rest of the year in terms of whether they get in or not. What a hell of a job. Coach of the year runner up for sure. My vote. If I had to vote for the coaches, I'd rank Cygnar 1, Kenny Dillingham 2, and honestly, after that, probably, I don't know, Dan Lanning, something like that. Who knows? But could be a sneaky one for Arizona State. Big 12 has been an absolute shit show this year. They're like the old Pac-12, basically. Just super deep, like no real walkover games. Like when Oklahoma State, who was my pick to win the Big 12, is like the worst team in the conference, that's when you kind of know that, like, okay, this team's kind of just top to bottom, like scrappy as hell. Like, no, they don't have a Purdue. They don't have a Northwestern. Obviously, they don't have an Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State, Oregon. But it's just 14 decent teams, Houston's.
Maybe they have five. Maybe they have 5 or 6 Ohio States and Oregons, and that's why the records. Maybe it's just like if the SEC.
Yeah, it's like they might be the SEC.
Is the Big 12 the new SEC?
Possibly. Guess we won't know until we play the games. I'm gonna skip Arkansas, Missouri. I'm gonna go right to the Pacific Northwest Classic. Washington goes to undefeated Oregon. They're 18.5-point favorites. This is a big. We know Washington. They're a good team. They are. They shoot themselves in the foot. They can move the ball and they play decent defense. Am I saying they're going to beat Oregon? Not necessarily. 18.5 is crazy here. I know it's on the road for them.
Is it?
I know Oregon's really good. They're really good. This is a rivalry game. Throw records out the window. The thing that Washington has against them is that they beat Oregon twice last year. So Oregon's going to come out firing.
Yeah, you'd think this would be the letdown game with the Big Ten championship looming, but no, to your point. Lanning, obviously, specifically, is probably looking for a little bit of get back. And yeah, they need style points.
Yeah.
Like they are the number 1 team in the country, but they need to continue to look like it. So I don't particularly envy Washington in this scenario, especially with the way Washington shoots themselves in the foot. It could get ugly pretty fast.
Agreed, which is why I'm calling this a no-touch game. I'm not going to advise anyone to take minus 18.5 Oregon in a rivalry game. It's a no-touch game. It's a no-touch game. I don't even have a total play. I don't know if it's going to be high scoring, low scoring, close, blowout, upset. I don't know. This is a rivalry game. Anything can happen in this one. This is a weird one. Don't touch this if you like money. Don't touch it. All right, BYU's out. I guess they have a path. They're going to take care of business against Houston, so we'll kind of skip over that. Kansas State goes to Iowa State. Right now, in the driver's seat in the Big 12, it's Iowa State, Arizona State. So, if Arizona State wins, Iowa State loses this game, BYU gets in. But if BYU or Arizona State loses, Colorado gets in. It's a shit show. I think there's 9 teams in the Big 12 that are able to that still have a path to the Big 12 championship game going into this week, final week of the year. 9 teams. How absurd is that?
That's why they expanded the field. It's so you could have these different teams all having an opportunity to like make a run. It's like at this point in the season for the last 10 to 15 years it's been okay, cool. Where's Bama ranked? Where's Georgia ranked? Where's Ohio State ranked? Is Michigan around? And then is there a surprise like other team we could throw in there? But you couldn't really consistently have another team crack that versus now it's like I'm like, holy shit, Arizona State's in the driver's seat in the Big 12. Like, Indiana's pretty much locked into a playoff spot. Like, there's 2 ACC teams in there somehow.
For now.
The SEC is trash.
Yeah, it's looking based on the rankings, it's looking like 2 ACC, 3 SEC, as opposed to what we were originally thinking of 4 SEC, 1 ACC. It's interesting.
Very much so.
Yeah, and that's why I brought up the Tulane game. Because if Tulane wins out, and let's say somehow, like, for example, West Virginia has a path to win the Big 12, by the way. Who are you putting in? Tulane or American Conference champ Tulane or Big 12 champ West Virginia? For me, at this point, West Virginia's not even in the top 25, so like they won't put them in. But like for me, I think the Big 12 champ should just be in. Obviously, the rules.
Are they not an auto bid?
It's not auto bid. No, it's just top 5 ranked conference champions.
Wait, then how is Indiana seeded 11? That doesn't even make sense.
Because Boise State has the 4 seed, and they're ranked at 12.
Yeah. Why though?
Because the top 4 conference champs get buys, and then a 5th one. Because it was like in theory, like that's why they made the rule like that. It was like in theory it'd be the buys would be Big 12 champ, ACC champ, Big 10 champ, SEC champ, and then a group of 5 as a 12 seed. Like that was the theory. But the rules is just top 5 highest ranked conference champs get auto bids.
But auto buys too. It's crazy.
4. Yeah, they might change the rule after this offseason, but that's the rule going into this year, and they can't change it. So that's where we're at. Who do you like? Iowa State, Kansas State. It's at home. It's in Ames, Iowa.
It's gonna be cold.
It's going to be 22 degrees.
I don't. I haven't watched either of these teams play football this year, so I have no idea.
So Kansas State has an electric quarterback running back duo with Giddens and Avery Johnson. Iowa State has the best defense in the conference. So it's a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, give me Iowa State.
Yeah, give me Iowa State. Defense wins championships. And the cold. But yeah, we'll see. Big 12 is going to be something to keep an eye on going into this. It's going to be interesting. I'm really pulling for Arizona State because I think it'd be hilarious if they had to go to Columbus or Oregon. That's another thing that's so stupid. Like, you're almost incentivized as the Big Ten in the Big Ten championship game to lose so you can get the path where you face the 12 and the 5 seed or the 12 and the 4 seed. That's why it's stupid. You're almost incentivized if you're Oregon or Ohio State. Yeah, but you can
say that for the rest of the No. You want the bye. The bye is the most important thing. The extra week of rest is so huge versus having to play a really physical football game. Like, think about a team like Indiana, right? Like, that, not that they can get the bye, but that's a team that, like, because of their, like, they don't necessarily have the strongest roster depth when you look at them compared to, like, an Ohio State or, like, an Oregon. Having a week off compared to playing a really physical football game, now you have to play another physical football game the week after and another physical football game the week after a grueling Big Ten schedule where it got harder towards the end. It's like, yeah, it's a war of attrition towards the end. So, no, I actually completely disagree with, like, wanting to lose that conference championship. Like, I think that bye is by far the most important things. And I don't know if we'll see a team that doesn't get the bye ever win a college football playoff.
It's a hot take. I like it.
I don't think it's that hot of a take.
It's not.
I
Because
think,
you have the conference championship week, and then that next Saturday is the first round.
yeah, so if you lose, you're playing after if you lose your conference championship game, not only are you playing that conference championship game, but then you're playing another game a week later.
Are we talking
So you're
upset
playing an
watch
extra
for
game.
Ohio State or Oregon if they lose? Got to.
Yes.
I like it. I like it.
But I think you have to look at any of those teams like that.
Which is why it might be, honestly, Sig might have thrown that Ohio State game. He's like, I don't.
No, you're
I'm
missing the
messing,
whole
I'm
point
messing.
because the whole point is to get the bye.
True.
The bye is the most important thing.
True.
That's why you want to win your conference championship. That's to get that extra week off is, and to not have a hard hitting football game before you have to go play 3 more, potentially, is a huge advantage. Now listen, if you have a ton of roster depth and you're loaded and then I guess it doesn't matter as much, but still recovery's huge and it's gonna be the longest football season most of these guys have ever played. It's gonna be interesting how it plays out. I'm really excited. And I'm glad Indiana's in it.
I'm excited too. Which,
But yeah, that
which
bye.
brings us to
That bye is super, super important.
which brings us to our last game. The SEC play in your in game. It's Texas at Texas A&M. First time I remember watching that the last time these teams played in like 2009. It was Colt McCoy. I remember watching that around like Thanksgiving time. This is a big rivalry, and I'm glad it's back. And not only is it back, it has this type of implication on it. You win, you get to play Georgia in the SEC title game, and we have this theory where if you're in the SEC title game, you're in. Currently, A&M has 3 losses, 2 in conference, 1 to Notre Dame. And so that theory gets really tested if Texas A&M wins this ball game.
Which they can.
Which they definitely can.
Who's starting at quarterback for Texas? Is it Arch?
That's the thing we don't know. So another point, like, if it's Arch, Texas is out because backup quarterbacks can't win the national title, according to the committee.
Yeah, that's true. We do know that.
That's a proven thing by the committee. Key player out.
There's precedent for
Heisman
that.
candidate, first round pick, Quinn Ewers out. Backup quarterback, sophomore. Because his name's Manning, they get a pass? I don't think so.
Well, no, if he comes out and he lights it up, then it's like, oh shit. Because the problem, like, if we're gonna have a realistic conference, like, Florida State was gonna get slaughtered because the quarterback wasn't as good, so they saved everybody from watching a bad game. Now, the way they did it was shady, and the way they tried to cover it was shady, but ultimately, I think they made the right decision. I think but to go to say you did it in an unshady way when you clearly did it in a shady way is what turned me off of it. But it's like, no, I think if you put those 2 teams on a field and you had them play at that point in time, like Alabama would have smoked Florida State. And you watched what Georgia did to them.
Yeah, but that's another hypothetical, and we've talked about this before. It should have been Alabama out because Bama lost to Texas.
Yeah.
And Florida State's undefeated.
I don't know.
They deserve a shot. If you're undefeated, you deserve a shot at the national title. Like that just destroys the sanctity of sport if you're not even going to give them a shot. Like that Florida State team is loaded with NFL talent. They're all showing up on Sundays now.
Yeah, but they had 3 or 4 weeks at least to show any type of pulse on offense with a backup quarterback, and they just didn't.
What do you mean they had 3 to 4 weeks? They had 1 week.
Was it only 1 week?
ACC championship game? Yeah.
I don't know.
Who do you think wins this Texas A&M? Texas versus A&M game?
I think A&M beats them.
Really? That's going to cause a lot of chaos. Tons of it. That'd be awesome if they won.
It's in College Station,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, the game's going to be insane. I'm
I
going to
think
be
A&M
locked
beats
into
them.
that one.
Or the legend of Arch Manning is born.
Problem is at the same time as Indiana Purdue, so it's going to have to do a lot of channel flipping. But hopefully Indiana's up 42-0 at halftime. You can kind of tune in to see what's going on in College Station.
Yeah, but God, what's going on over here now? Because
As much as I love my Hoosiers, I kind of want to see like where we're going to be playing in the
Yeah.
playoff.
how high can we go?
Yeah, I think Texas is going to take care of business in that game. They're really good.
Do you think, regardless of the quarterback, who do you think it is, Arch?
Yeah, regardless of the quarterback.
You think it's Arch?
Yeah, I'm hearing it's like bad. He had to get MRIs for a potential MCL, and they haven't really come out with the
No,
results.
yours is out. He's out. He's out. He's not
He's
playing.
out? You looked it up?
From every report I've seen, he's not playing. Multiple weeks is what I saw. He's out.
I see him listed as probable.
Probable?
Probable.
Yeah, but there's no injury designation in college. You know that. They don't have to say anything about it until
Yeah,
the
but this
game.
is an official report I'm reading right now. I know they don't have to, but they did.
They said he's practicing and he's going to play. What do you have the MRI on, though?
Ankle. So it wasn't knee.
And
It's
they're
ankle.
like, I swear I saw somebody say he was going to be out for multiple weeks.
Well, we'll see. That'll be one hell of a game. Definitely game of the week. I'd see why game day's there. Surprised they didn't go. It was either probably that or Purdue, Indiana. So, tough call. I think.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think the bucket game was that high on the list, given how badly Indiana's going to beat them.
So I think. So now that we've recapped it, I think what's going to happen is we're going to let this play out. They're going to announce, oh no, we have a reactionary on Sunday, or we're going to record on Sunday, release it, the reactionary to that on Monday, and then I think included in that we'll probably preview I guess sometime next week we'll recap what happened this week. Honestly, we should probably just record after the new playoff rankings come out, and then preview the conference championship game. We'll talk about Indiana Purdue on that episode as well. And then we'll have the conference championship games play out, and then on that Sunday they're going to announce the playoff. And so I think right after that playoff announcement, we're going to record and drop an episode on Monday, on that following Monday. Yeah.
Indeed. I
Thanks
agree.
for listening, guys.
Any closing thoughts on the schedule this week, on college football playoff implications, on where Indiana stands as a program, on how bad Purdue stinks?
Indiana's in. No further comment.
You can follow Sigs Inside Indiana Football Podcast on Twitter at Sigs Inside Pod. You can follow Brad at Bradley_Loomis8. He's becoming more active.
Working on it.
He's out there.
Working on it.
We're also now verified on the podcast side of things, which is exciting. So we got a little blue check mark for Sigs Inside. So Brad, yeah, you can go around, play around in a little premium, figure out some shit. You can follow me at Alec Keyser. Check out keysportsnetwork.com. Check out HoosierHuddle.com. I'll have an article coming out with them when this drops tomorrow morning. That's going to be about the Bucket game. Check that out. Shout out to the boys, Wave, NxckSkrxll, Cygnar. Check out Friends and Collaborators, Instrumental Volume 1 on streaming platforms now. The intro song, 1621. The outro song, The Sweet Sound of Butter Simple. Sigs Inside, an Indiana football podcast. It's Bucket Week.
Fuck Purdue.